Hi, this is James again with the second of these two videos designed to help you with administration and maintenance of the IntegrisG2 assessment module throughout year 2014-15. Hopefully, thanks to the first video, you've mastered creating new pupil groups and working within markbooks to do sorting and filtering on pupils that you see listed, which hopefully will serve for a lot of you to meet your needs. There will, however, inevitably be times when, and some schools, when we just need to play with that a little bit more. So this video is all about how to actually enrol users into markbooks to which they currently don't have access, how to see different classes, year groups, bespoke groups, so that you as the Integris administrator in your school really make sure that all of your teachers are seeing the markbooks that they need to see. So we'll do that in the assessment module. As you can see, we're already in here, and as the assessment coordinator, or as someone with that privilege in your school, you will be able to do a lot of this stuff en masse, which is to say assign a user or a number of users to a markbook or number of markbooks all at once. So the assigning doesn't need to take a great deal of time once you're familiar with what you're doing. Those of you who worked helping me to get your key stage results in during the last summer term will be slightly familiar with this process, because I asked you to do it on a slightly smaller scale in the summer. But we're going to revisit that now and look at some of the things that might make it a little bit more complex for you. So it's over here in the utilities option in the assessment module, and down at the bottom of this list in the main pane is markbook management. So click on that. What you will see listed here is every single markbook in your school, what pupil groups are assigned to them, be they year groups, classes or bespoke groups, and which users have access to them. This option coming in through utilities and markbook management is really good for doing a lot of adding and enrolling en masse. What it's not so good at is taking access away from users, which is a little bit more time consuming. So if you're new to this, go slow. I'm going to show you how to do it for a number of markbooks and users all at the same time, but if you want to just see how you go with one or two at first to make sure you get the hang of it, and then once your confidence is up, you can try more at once. I will show you, however, at the end of this video, what to do if you do definitely want to take markbook access away from users. Anyway, in here we see all of our markbooks listed. A very sensible way of proceeding, because they're all in an order that doesn't necessarily lend itself to being easily understood. Probably the simplest thing for you to do is to sort this by group name. You can sort on any of these column headings just by clicking on the text, but let's sort on group name, and as you can see, it sorts all the markbooks together by the pupil group that is enrolled to them. So here we see, as we saw in the previous video, that all of the year 3 and year 4 markbooks are enrolled to class JW and assigned to myself, so that's what I can see. But as a good rule of thumb, if you want to enrol markbooks to users, it's maybe best to start with looking at the ones enrolled to the whole year groups, because they're the ones that will be a standard set of markbooks for each year group. You can put filters for any of these on these markbooks by these criteria up here. So let's say I want to enrol all the year 1 markbooks to a new teacher. If we go to this drop down menu here, group type, where it says year group, we select that, and then we're going to put the filter on. Whenever you change anything up here, you need to click on this button over on the right here, which is apply filters, and that will implement the change. So you can see the class enrolment that was at the top has now disappeared, and all we see listed now, and because we've got the sort on it, goes chronologically: Year Group 1, Year Group 2, Year Group 3, Year Group 4, Year Group 5, Year Group 6, and Year Group Reception at the bottom. So what we want to do is add a user to all of the markbooks and to see all of the pupils in Year 1. So we do that very simply by selecting the markbooks that we want. So click on the first one, we'll highlight it in blue. As with before, if you just hold down the Shift key and then go to the bottom of the group that you want, which is all of these Year 1 markbooks, and then go over here to Add Markbook Users, this icon here. And we're going to add Yasmin Wahab as someone we want to have access to all of the Year 1 markbooks. So we simply select her. If we wanted more than one person, we could hold down Control and just click them as many as we wanted. If you make a mistake, just unclick them. We're just going to enroll Yasmin for now. So she's selected, click OK, and after a moment it tells me that they've all been added to the selected users. So, and as you can see, Yasmin has now been en masse added to all of the Year 1 markbooks. Now what about if we want to enroll say a new teacher to your class? Perhaps you've got maternity cover or long-term sick cover coming in, and that person coming in needs access to all the markbooks that the outgoing teacher had access to. There's a couple of ways you can do this. The simplest thing to do is change this back to all to make sure that we see all markbooks regardless of whether they are year group enrolled, student group enrolled, class enrolled, and then select the user that we're going to be replacing effectively. So let's go down to myself, select Mr. James Woodward. So all of the users in the school with access to the assessment module you should see their names listed there. So group type change to all, select the user and click Apply Filters. And what we have here now is all of the markbooks that James Woodward has access to. And we want to just replicate that and have the incoming teacher granted access to the same things. So again, we select the first option, the first row I should say, and then go to the bottom, hold down the Shift key and select them all. If there was only some we wanted access to, then that would be a case of holding down Control and clicking just the ones we want. But as it's all of them, we're going to hold down Shift I should say, and select them all. And then again we're going to add markbook users, and here we're going to enroll Rebecca Fraser, and as before they've all been added. Rebecca I should say has been added to access to all of those markbooks, the same ones that I have. If you wanted to do it on a class basis, you would first of all get rid of the specific user, but go to class and again refresh. These are the only markbooks enrolled to a class at the moment, but if I wanted to add someone else, that would be a simple case of, let's say we only want to enroll the Year 3s now, so we would just select those and enroll them to someone else. Let's go with Marion. So that's how you can quite easily and quickly build up access to these markbooks amongst your staff. Let's just go back to the markbooks. Typical. Best laid plans. So now that we've learned how to add users to have access to markbooks, let's have a look at how we would enroll new pupil groups to the markbooks. So at the moment, up to now, what we've done is added access to school users, given them access to markbooks that are enrolled to pupil groups that already exist. So all the markbooks for Year 1 or Class JW. But what about if we've just created a bespoke pupil group, as we did in the first video, and then we want to add grant certain people access to that? Well, the thing to do there is to go back to group type, staying in Markbook Management, group type year group, and refresh. Making sure that this group name sort is on. You can see that by the little arrow pointing up. This keeps everything in nice order. It keeps all of the year 1 markbooks together, the year 2 markbooks together, which of course is crucially important because you don't want to be adding accidentally enrolling the wrong year group or the wrong group of pupils to the wrong year group markbooks. That way you might accidentally end up entering assessment data for a year 5 child into a year 2 markbook, which wouldn't be good for anybody. So what we want to do here is enroll a bespoke pupil group. Now in the first video we looked at creating bespoke pupil groups for all of the for my split year group, class JW, which was a split year 3 and 4 class. So what we're going to do here is enroll my my manually maintained group for just my year 3 pupils into all the year 3 markbooks, and then do the same for the year 4s, and then give myself access. So with these sorted, I'm going to select year group, everything that's year group 3. It doesn't matter about the fact that there's more people assigned to these, because it's not going to affect the job that we're about to do. Because what we're about to do is, now that they're all selected, we're going to go over to this option here, add an enrolled group. All this basically does is look at the markbooks that you've highlighted, and we'll add an additional group enrolled to them. So these year group markbooks enrolled to these users will remain, but we're basically adding a new group of pupils, which essentially makes a completely new set of all these markbooks enrolled to the pupils that we're about to select. So we click add an enrolled group, and here we can choose what we want to enroll them to. We could choose a different class, we could choose an entire year group, but for the bespoke group that we've created, we want to select student group. We're going to select that, and then all of the groups in the school are listed. You may not have many, and the group you're after may be easy to find, but if you do need to filter it down a bit further, just go to group type here and select assessment, because if you remember, we created that bespoke group as an assessment group. And here is my class JW year 3 group, my static group of just the year 3 pupils in my class. I'm going to highlight it by clicking on it in blue and click OK. It tells me that all the groups have been added to the assessment plan. But there's nothing to show for it on this screen because we are still showing a filter for just year groups. So what we need to do now is enroll myself as a user to them. In fact, before we leave here, let's do the same thing for our year 4 markbooks, but for my bespoke group for just my year 4 pupils. Again, highlight them all, go to add an enrolled group, go to student group and assessment, class JW year 4, because these are the year 4 markbooks. Click OK, and once again we will find that we get the same message, but still nothing here, because all of the only things that are listed here are year group markbooks enrolled to entire year groups. So we're going to change the group type, student group in this case, because that's what we've enrolled them to. Click apply filters and it changes, and here we see that all the year 3 markbooks have been enrolled to this bespoke group, class JW year 3, and all the year 4s have been enrolled to group class JW year 4. But you will notice here there are no users. The markbooks have been created, the group has been enrolled, but no one can yet access them to edit them, and that's what we need to sort out. Now, because I'm the class teacher and I therefore need access to all of these, we just again click the bottom of the top, go to the other end, hold down shift, highlight them all, and then simply go to add markbook users, and I'm going to select myself, and again I could choose anyone I wanted or any number of people I wanted. Click OK, and as quickly as that I'm enrolled to all those markbooks. So let's just go to the markbooks and prove it. So under my markbooks, I'm logged in as myself. I can see that not only do I have all of the markbooks enrolled to class JW, the whole of my class, and I could work with those markbooks by going into them and just adding those applying those simple filters whenever I go into them. But in addition to that, I've also enrolled to myself the static bespoke group class JW year 3 to all my year 3 markbooks and year 4 for my year 4s. And they won't need any filtering or sorting, because I will only see my year 3 pupils when I open them. As you can see, these are the pupils who were in the group I created. So that's how you work with bespoke pupil groups, and that's how you enroll users to markbooks. You can do that for any combination of markbooks and users. Like I say, though, the de-enrolling of users and pupil groups isn't quite as quick as it is to add them. So a note of caution to you is to start off small. Try it out with a couple of markbooks until you get your confidence up. But once you get the hang of it, I'm sure you'll find that it's very easy to do. Finally, however, we're going to show you what to do if you do need to de-enroll a user with access to markbooks. If you make a mistake, or if the teacher has left the school, then you can take access away. Or the most likely scenario is that the teacher may have just switched classes or year groups or something like that, and although you've quite easily enrolled all of their new markbooks, they're still seeing their old ones and they want rid of them, quite understandably. So you do that by coming here into assessment planning, which is possibly not a part of the assessment module you've been in before. And what you need to do here, and again, it's crucial that you are enrolled as an assessment coordinator, logged in as an assessment coordinator in order to fulfill this process. You go here to Other Users folders and expand it. Not templates, no, Other Users folders, and you go right to the bottom, or what you're looking for, I should say, is for the assessment coordinator. This will be all of your users with assessment access, but most of them won't have any of these plus signs next to their little folder, because they are not the owners of any plans. When we created your markbooks and deployed them to your Integris system, that is to say our assessment coordinator login, became the owners of those plans. So you need to go into the folder where attributed to the owner of the plans that we're looking at. So you need to expand the assessment coordinator folder. It will be called something like this. It might be called assessment, Mr. Assessment Coordinator. Look for those words, assessment coordinator. They should be unique. And what you're looking for within this markbook, you'll see a number of other folders, but the one you want is probably going to be right at the bottom. York LA Tracking Templates V3. That is the one you want. If you expand one of these ones and you don't see this one, then you're looking in the wrong folder. You need to come and look somewhere else. But what we are looking for here is York LA Tracking Templates V3, which when you then expand, you see yet more subfolders. Now, a standard set of markbooks consists of the appropriate year group markbook for foundation subjects, interventions and actions, maths, the progress trackers. These two will be for all, plus year 6s will have the key stage 1 to 2 summary, reading and writing. So if it's year 4, you will see a year 4 writing, a year 4 reading, progress in sublevels, progress in points, year 4 maths, year 4 intervention record, and Year 4 foundation subjects, and that is the standard set of markbooks that you should see through all of the processes that I've talked you through up to this point. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that we've got a teacher who is leaving the school or is changing the classes that they're teaching, and we want to remove their access to the Year 4, all the Year 4 markbooks. Like I said, it's not as quick and easy or as straightforward as enrolling them, so you need to do them one at a time. So let's highlight the first one, which in our list is Year 4 foundation subjects, and then go up to this button here. Second one in this little column, edit an assessment plan. We're going to open this assessment plan, and we don't want to touch anything in the first two tabs. We want to go straight across to and click on enrolled groups. Here we see exactly which pupil groups and which users are enrolled to this markbook called Year 4 foundation subjects. And we want to take, say, myself away from having access to any of the Year 4 markbooks. So we do that by clicking on any of the rows that has my name as a markbook user, and here we're going to go on this column of icons. We're going to go to the one second from the bottom, edit markbook users. Here this is listed everyone that we just saw here in this box. I'm going to simply select myself and remove, and click yes, and click OK, and I'm gone. I've also got this bespoke group enrolled to me. Now, because I'm the only user for this group, if I were to try to take myself away from it, it will tell me that I must have at least one user. So I may wish to just delete this altogether, or I may wish to add a user, which would be here, add markbook users, Rebecca Fraser. And now I can go in the one underneath, edit markbook users, and take myself away. So you have to have at least one name listed here for each markbook. If you want to get rid of it, then you actually need to get rid of the markbook altogether, in which case, like I say, you would click here, you would click there, and it would say please confirm, and confirm, and now they're gone. Save that to keep those changes, or if you make a mistake, click cancel to undo everything you've just done. So I'm clicking save, and I now, if I go back to my markbooks, look under James Woodward, which is, as I'm logged in as myself, will be under my markbooks. I will no longer see the Year 4 foundation subjects markbook in any form. Still got the Year 3 ones, I haven't taken those away from me, but the Year 4 ones are all gone because I've de-enrolled myself, as you've just seen. So I would have to go back in. Remember, I'm going to other users folders, the assessment coordinator, York LA tracking templates, and I would repeat the process for the Year 4 intervention record, and then for everything that comes after it, the progress in points, maths, reading, writing, and any other subjects that you have access to. And that's how you de-enroll users. So a lot of the time, if a teacher has, for example, left the school altogether, it's often simply to take away their entire access to the assessment module, or indeed to deactivate their account if they're not going to be working at the school at any point. Perhaps they're on maternity leave or something. You can always reactivate it later on. But hopefully that's enough to really get you to give you a good understanding of how the sort of the back door, if you like, of the assessment module works. And if you have any further queries or any problems with that, then obviously get in touch with myself, and I'll help you all I can. But see how you go with following the steps that we've just been talking through. I'm sure for many of you, you'll fly with it. So signing off for now, and no doubt I'll be speaking to you in the near future.